What if your body could be 30 years younger? Not through surgery, not through some viral supplement, but simply by avoiding 5 very common, everyday foods. This isn't a late-night infomercial pitch. This is the real-life transformation of Harvard genetics professor Dr. David Sinclair, a globally recognized leader in longevity science. People look at him now at 54, and many wouldn't believe it. His skin, his energy, they'd guess he's in his 30s. In some ways, he's even biologically younger than he was at 44. And he says it's not genetics, it's science. And it's the discipline to completely cut out 5 major food villains. From his diet foods that research shows are aging your body at the cellular level every single day. Imagine your DNA is like the fundamental software driving your health. Over time, that software gets buggy. It's called epigenetic noise, and it makes your cells make more errors, causing wrinkles, joint pain, and memory loss. But what if certain foods were accelerating that breakdown? Sinclair made a radical shift, and when he did, his blood tests showed he became biologically younger. Markers like testosterone, inflammation, and fasting glucose all shifted to mirror those of a remarkably healthy young adult. The difference. The food on his plate and, more importantly, the food he took off his plate. So, what are these 5 foods? Let's start from the beginning, the moment Sinclair realized food could either be medicine or a slow, invisible poison. He was, in his early 40s, accomplished, but tired. He noticed the enemy wasn't just time, it was inflammation, fatigue, brain fog, and glucose spikes. The first major shift came when he looked at sugar. We've all heard sugar is bad, but Sinclair's research took it further. It was destructive on a molecular level, damaging DNA and causing rapid glycation, a process where sugar literally caramelizes your proteins. Think of stiff skin and hardened arteries. Once he cut refined sugars, especially liquid sugar from juices and sodas, his biomarkers changed dramatically. So, food number 1 that David Sinclair completely avoids is sugar, especially fructose-heavy processed products. But cutting sugar was only the beginning. The second food he removed was something most of us eat multiple times a day: simple carbohydrates, white bread, bagels, pasta, refined cereal. He noticed the same blood sugar spikes happening even without added sugar. Why? Because refined carbs quickly convert to glucose, triggering an insulin cascade that leads to cellular stress. That crash you feel mid-morning, that's your metabolism screaming to balance itself. Constantly elevated, insulin suppresses AMPK, a vital enzyme that promotes cellular recycling, the process where your body clears out damaged cells. So, food number 2 Sinclair avoids is processed carbohydrates, including white bread, white rice, and even supposedly clean cereals. But Sinclair didn't stop there. His next battle: animal-based saturated fats and heavy meat consumption. For years, we've been told lean meat is the gold standard for health. But what he discovered changed everything. When we eat too much animal protein, especially red or processed meat, it constantly activates a cellular pathway called mTOR. MTO is responsible for growth, which sounds good, but when it's always on, it promotes aging and inflammation. Sinclair transitioned to mostly plant-based eating, and his cholesterol levels dropped dramatically. His inflammatory markers plummeted. This brings us to food number 3. Sinclair avoids excessive animal protein, especially red and processed meats. The fourth food Sinclair eliminated might catch you off guard because it often hides behind the illusion of health. It's in yogurt, smoothies, and cafe lattes. It's dairy. This wasn't about lactose intolerance, but the moment he removed dairy, his numbers got even better. Studies show high dairy consumption correlates with elevated levels of IGF-1, a hormone that drives cellular growth. Great in childhood, but not so great when your goal is slowing aging. When IGF-1 is chronically elevated, your body lives in a constant build mode, not repair mode. When Sinclair dropped dairy completely, cheese, milk, butter, his LDL cholesterol and inflammatory markers fell. So, food number 4 Sinclair avoids completely is dairy. But the final food is potentially the hardest for most people. It's social, relaxing, and romanticized. Alcohol. For years, moderate red wine was hailed as a longevity staple. Not quite. According to the latest research, even moderate drinking is linked to decreased brain volume, higher cancer risk, and epigenetic damage that literally accelerates biological aging. Sinclair enjoyed wine, but when he saw how resilient his biology became after removing it-reduced inflammation, improved sleep, he knew it was the right move. If you absolutely must indulge, he says to choose a Pinot Noir high in resveratrol, but personally he chose 0 alcohol. So, food number 5 Sinclair completely avoids is alcohol. Let's recap. Sugar, refined carbs, excess animal protein, dairy, and alcohol. Avoiding these 5 gave Sinclair measurable changes. His epigenetic age dropped significantly. His energy and cognitive clarity reached levels he described as better than his 20s. His metabolic markers improved to match elite health standards. And he's not just removing things. He's adding strategic stressors that make the body stronger. This is a principle called hormesis. He embraces fasting and eats stress-grown plants rich in antioxidants like dark leafy greens, colorful vegetables, and olive oil. These foods don't just nourish, they speak to your genes, telling them to activate, defend, and repair. Sinclair's entire philosophy is based on this concept of nutritional epigenetics. What you eat doesn't just feed you, it talks to your genes. At the heart of aging is epigenetic drift. Our body's instruction manual gets messy over time. But this is reversible. When Sinclair eliminated the 5 aging foods, he wasn't just managing his weight. He was reprogramming the software inside every cell, and that's why his biological age reversed. You don't need to be a Harvard scientist to access this. You just need to repeat the right behaviors long enough to trigger repair. So, is this lifestyle even sustainable? Dr. Sinclair would say yes, but it's about perspective. To him, this way of eating isn't restriction, it's liberation. Once you stop feeding the cycle of addiction to sugar and processed foods, you're no longer negotiating with your biology. You're commanding it. Most mornings, he starts with a fast, often eating only 1 or 2 meals within a tight window. This activates his longevity pathways. When he does eat, it's plant-heavy and nutrient-rich. He says the energy and clarity he feels now are so profound, he has zero desire to go back. The best part, you can do this too. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. You're not just eating broccoli instead of bread. You're giving your cells an instruction. Live longer, stay stronger, and isn't that the ultimate goal? Thank you so much for watching. If you found this information valuable, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Stay healthy and see you next time.